Episode 1. The episode starts with an 11-year-old story where a teen child named Shub is seen performing puja rituals alongside his father and another person. His father, while returning in a boat with his son, drowns in the river and dies. The young child is emotionless, and it is shown that the child presumably poisoned his father. The story moves on to the present, where a forensics expert, Nikhil Nair, is shown teaching at the FBI HQ. Later on, he is shown doing some dilly-dally with his wife Naina, arguing about the reasons to leave his job with the CBI, something which he deeply regrets. Meanwhile, in India, a murderer kills a woman and her charred body is found by the police the next day, whose autopsy is performed by Dhananjay DJ Rajput, a senior forensic expert in the CBI. The modus operandi of the murder reveals that a serial killer is on a murder spree, in which DJ's wife is also included. Episode 2. The episode starts with a story set 18 years ago where a young Shub is shown as a genius child, but he is cold, ruthless, and cruel. His father is shown calling him a demon or Yajura. In the present timeline, Nikhil comes back to work with the CBI, where he meets his former coworker and ex-girlfriend Nusrat. Towards the end of the episode, DJ receives an envelope containing a video in which the charred body is revealed to be that of his wife, Sandhya. Being directly related to the murder, DJ can't handle the case anymore and Nikhil takes over the case. But even before he could come to terms with the inconceivable loss, DJ is arrested for murdering his wife, based on Nikhil's calculation, and the camera pans out at the sight of a mysterious person witnessing all this. Episode 3. The episode continues with another glimpse of the story set 18 years ago where it is revealed that Shub shows symptoms of autism, and has an IQ of 149, but is deeply ill-affected by his father's torturous behavior towards him. In the present timeline, with Dhananjay behind bars, Nikhil thinks it's all over until he gets 3 new coordinates from the same mysterious source. The killer follows the same pattern of thoroughly planned assaults targeted at random people at random locations. Episode 4. The episode continues with the incident 11 years ago as it is shown that DJ was the person who was doing the puja rituals. While doing the puja, DJ finds something fishy about Shub. After the death of the father, DJ tells everyone that he died due to poisoning and not drowning. In the present timeline, Nikhil almost succeeds in finding out the murderer's location, but an automated tranquilizer attack results in the killer successfully capturing Nikhil alive in a remote location with no access, and Dhananjay is behind bars. Meanwhile, Dhananjay tries to figure out how it's all connected. Episode 5. The episode continues with an incident 11 years ago where Shub is arrested and put behind bars for his father's murder. Shub doesn't show much remorse and instead starts preaching from within the prison, as a willful follower joins him and becomes his first disciple. At present, Dhananjay is tasked by the CBI to work on the case while in prison. During work on the case, he meets Kesar Bhardwaj, a motivational speaker on spiritualism. Naina arrives looking for Nikhil with their daughter Riya, though Nusrat is unable to calm her down when Dhananjay's team inadvertently reveals that Nikhil has gone missing. Dhananjay's colleague, Lalurk, is sent by Dhananjay to Banaras and continues to dig into Shub's background when Kesar figures out that Dhananjay's past may have something to do with it. Dhananjay, with his team, comprising Nusrat, hacker Rasul Sheikh, and a few other officers working directly under Lalurk, tries to find the connection between the victims and concludes that they were all good people with no criminal records. Meanwhile, Nikhil, fearing Naina and their daughter Riya's safety, helps the killer murder a neuroscientist. A mysterious clue occurs to Dhananjay, who realizes that Nikhil is alive and he has contributed to the murder. Episode 6. 10 years ago, Shub gets arrested and is in jail. Lalurk inquires with the retired police officer. The officer tells him that Shub drew pictures of many asuras and read many scriptures. Lalurk then went to meet Shub's grandfather, from whom he finds out that Shub was born on the day of the devil's birth, despite his father wanting him to be born the day demigods are born. This is why Shub was always called devilish, and this hate motivated him to kill his father. Lalurk shares this information with Dhananjay, who says they need to find out what kind of devil he is trying to be to understand his thought process. In the present, Nikhil is given another victim, Aditya Jalan, a famous businessman who generously wishes to donate a major share of his property to charity. Asur helps Dhananjay by reading the horoscopes of all the victims and finding out they belong to a specific Hindu zodiac sign. Dhananjay, with help from Naina, is able to hack into the firewall of the NIC, which gives the date, place, and time of birth of people. From this, Dhananjay realizes that the next victim is Jalan. When Dhananjay gets a call from the killer saying that he knows he's trying to save Jalan from getting killed, this causes Dhananjay to convince Jalan to cancel his engagement, but Jalan rebuffs the warning. Dhananjay then enhances the security arrangements. Realizing this, Nikhil plans a counterplot, though another counterplot is initiated by Dhananjay. Nikhil, however, finds another counterplot, which ultimately results in Jalan being killed the same way during the engagement party. Episode 7. Dhananjay, aggrieved at his failure to save Jalan, seeks Asur's help again and finds out that the victims were born under a certain star. Knowing that the killer could very well come after him, Dhananjay stakes himself and asks Naina to manipulate the NIC database in order to get the killer to promptly plan his murder. Initially reluctant, Naina agrees. She receives a connected call from Nikhil and is relieved to find out he is alive, but the kidnapper cuts the call short. Parallel to this, a flashback shows that Nikhil met Shub in prison and promised him that he would help him. Shub responds by assuring him that he will be back. Nikhil gets a hint of his kidnapper and realizes that it may be Shub, but he is unable to speak to him at all. Episode 8. 10 years earlier, Nikhil finds out that DJ had framed the evidence to send Shub to prison, which is the reason why Nikhil resigned from the CBI. At present, Nikhil is assigned DJ as the next victim and tells the killer that he has to go to jail to kill him since the central jail has high surveillance. The killer gets into the jail and as plotted, reaches DJ and is about to kill him, but gets tied up by DJ instead. Since the killer is in jail, Nikhil finds a way to escape jail. There, the killer reveals there are many Shubs and not one, prompting DJ to conclude that Asur is the mastermind who murdered his wife. Additionally, a female journalist, a Hindu preacher, and an Islamic preacher are locked in a chamber with only 12 hours of oxygen supply available. Naina has, meanwhile, left Ria to the care of a house helper. Meanwhile, Lalurk spots a deep scar on Rasul's hand, and along the highway, he questions Rasul again, but Rasul, in turn, has his college friends speak to Lalurk about him, which somewhat convinces Lalurk. By this time, Nikhil manages to escape the killer's custody by mapping his fingerprints on a water tumbler and putting them in the biometric machine, but is unable to do anything to save the captives. The Islamic preacher tries to convince the Hindu preacher to kill the female journalist, but the Hindu preacher disagrees, in response to which the Islamic preacher tries to strangle the Hindu preacher to death, even as the female journalist comes forward to stop them both from killing each other. Lalurk and Rasul successfully discover the killer's hideout, When Lawlerk stumbles upon a notebook in Rasul's bag and finds out that the drawings in his notebook are the same as what Shub's grandfather gave him, it is revealed that Rasul might be Shub or a disciple of Shub. It is not confirmed yet, as Shub is the commander of a spiritual cult where multiple people follow his preachings, Kaysar turning out to be one of them. Kaysar, upon being confronted, makes DJ confess what he did with the evidence against Shub and compels him to self-harm, in return for telling the location of the journalist and the preachers. Eventually, it is revealed in a flashback that Kaysar is actually Shub's first disciple, the willful one who joined him in prison. Shub ties up Lawlerk after attacking him brutally and contacts Nikhil when he reunites with Naina, upon discovering the location of the captives. DJ collapses after consuming the tablets offered to him by Kaysar, which increased his heartbeat and blood pressure significantly, but Nusrat and the officers are able to rescue him. With time running out, Shub offers Nikhil on phone the option of choosing between Ria and the captives, and Nikhil, exasperated, sacrifices Ria, who is revealed to have died through the house helper, shown to be one of Shub's followers, who spiked the food she was eating. Unsuccessful in bringing out the selfishness in Nikhil, Shub shoots Lawlerk dead. However, the female journalist suddenly grabs a pistol from one of the lady officers and shoots the Islamic preacher dead. DJ's revelation spews another rivalry between Nikhil and DJ, since it was DJ's mistake 10 years ago that led to all these killings and thus, Ria's death, in the form of revenge. Finally, the camera pans out as Shub has one last stare at DJ,